Schuler, Prospect Mortgage, because we want to talk to a lender and see what would be involved in the buying, of course, and then the selling side of things. So John, why don't you tell us a little bit about Prospect Mortgage?
Well, Prospect Mortgage is one of the nation's largest retail lenders. We are a direct lender to Fannie Mae. We engage in VA loans, FHA loans, Fannie Mae conforming loans, Freddie Mac loans, USDA rural housing loans, 203K rehab loans. And what that means when you're a direct lender is you deal directly with the government entities themselves. So we have a much broader and bigger capability of getting some loans through that other smaller retail establishments may not have a chance to do.
Someone is in the business of maybe looking for a house. I know the sellers think that they don't really need to worry about that too much, but there are some things that sellers need to consider and get back and get information from their lenders, right?
There are. So for a seller nowadays in the lending arena that we're in, the sellers want to make sure when they are getting ready to list their property that they have no potential work orders that may be called for on the appraisals, such as any unfinished rooms, livability or safety concerns with their houses. Because when a client wants to make an offer, a buyer wants to make an offer on your property, they're going to need an appraisal. And when that appraiser goes out there, they're going to note anything that needs to be done in accordance with the underwriting guidelines of a loan.
Great, great. What about also with the seller homeowners associations?
Now those can be tricky nowadays, whereas if your complex, let's say that you own a house, whether it's a single family detached house or it's a townhouse or a row house or even a condominium, if it's zoned in a condominium complex and there's a homeowners association, the sellers really need to check with their listing agent first and see, or their lender, to see if that condominium complex is listed on FHA's home site or VA's home site to see if it's already approved for lending. Now, if it's already approved, what that means is the process will be a lot smoother with any bank that wants to do financing on your house. If it's not approved, that could be a lengthy, involved process if you deal with a smaller institution. Now, Prospect Mortgage, we're what's called a Del Rep lender, which means we can delegate and warrant the warrantability of that condominium complex or that development to HUD or VA or to Fannie Mae, so we can take care of that for you. But that's definitely an important point, that you want to make sure that your homeowners association is on the up and up and already pre-approved through these big lending institutions.
Right, and I as the listing agent would want to know that information so I can promote it out to any buyer's agents that are out there. Right, so let's say I want to buy a house now as a buyer. I think I've got a great job, I've got a great history, I think I can afford X amount. So I'm going to start looking for a house. But that's not necessarily what a buyer should do first, right?
No, they really need to get pre-approved first through a lending institution such as Prospect Mortgage. And the reason for that thing we need to start is looking at your credit. Your credit governs everything that you can do, and it's going to tell us whether you need to go a government loan like FHA or VA if you're eligible, or whether we can even slide it through a conventional program such as Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. So a new buyer in this market, whether you're a first-time home buyer or whether you're a move-up buyer, you just haven't bought a house in the last 5 or 10 years, you need to start with getting pre-approved through a lender. Once we pull your credit, we're going to analyze all your income and asset documentations. Very simple. If you're self-employed, we're going to look at your tax returns. If you're hourly or salary, we're just going to collect your last 2 years W-2s. We're going to collect your most recent pay stubs that cover a 30-day period. We're going to look at 1 month's worth of your bank statements just to see where the money's going to come from for maybe your down payment or your closing costs. And then we're going to run the file through underwriting. And believe it or not, this process usually takes 15 or 20 minutes. That's it. We'll run it straight through Fannie Mae, or straight through FHA, or straight through VA, and we'll get an electronic approval on you usually within about 20 minutes of the whole process from the time that we pick up the phone and start talking to your client.
And I think that's key from the buying side too, is to know your price range up front. I would hate to be out there showing you homes and you fall in love with something that's out of your price range and then you couldn't qualify for it. So.
I want the buyers to beware. when you hop online and you start calculating what your potential mortgage payment would be on a certain size house, a lot of those mortgage calculators online, they do not take into account whether there's homeowners association dues, whether your property taxes are included, or your homeowner's insurance. So if you rely only on that and you contact Candy here and say, hey, let's go look at some $400,000 houses, and in your mind you might think that you qualify for it, but when you meet with a lender, a loan officer from a bank like me, and we put all the numbers together, you might be surprised, and it might not be a pleasant surprise. So we want to look at that stuff up front.
Absolutely.
So definitely get pre-approved.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for your time today, John.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate it. And as always, if you have any questions, you can reach me online, and we can get John's info on the back here for you too. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.